Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Are you ready to make a fun fold with the Owl Bundle, the Winter Owls Bundle? I'm Kathi with Simply Cards by Kathi, and today is Friday, September 8th, 2023. Welcome. If you're new to my channel, I'm so happy you found me, but for those of you returning or catching me on the replay, thank you so much for your support and watching me and helping me grow my channel. Today, I have chosen to use the Winter Owls bundle. This is a new bundle that is in the fall, September to December 2023 Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. It was actually the first stamp set I chose. I love owls. In fact, I'm wearing an owl t-shirt. So I just love owls. So this was my first choice. So today I thought it'd be fun to make a fun fold. I'm going to show you how to use the dies you can add to the owl. And I'm going to show you some tips for making this fun fold and just putting it all together. So let's get this camera flipped down and let's get started. Okay, hopefully you can see me well and hear me well. If not, please leave a note in the comments for me. So I'm going to bring this in. This is the mini catalog. Finally, I can show it to you. So this is the stamp set and dies we're using, and we're going to use this little guy right here. And so this is on page 26. And I want to bring it in and show you. This is a cling stamp set. And I do have my dies in here with me. But I wanted to show you, you have dies for every one, or dies to cut every one of these owl images. You also have a more intricate die cut for the owl and for the wings. You also have this tree stump with the hole in it and some branches. So just a really fun stamp set that we're going to be using more in the future. So let's get started. So we are going to use a Night of Navy, and this is 4 1/4 by 11. Now I want to remind you, just sit back, relax, enjoy your tea or coffee or whatever you're doing. And I will have a downloadable PDF for you. Right down below in the description, there's going to be a link where you'll be able to see supplies, measurements, and download that PDF for instruction. So we're going to take this 4 1/4 by 11 piece of cardstock. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. And we're going to score this at 2 3/4. Okay, get that cutting blade out of the way. The other day when I was making this card, I actually cut it. So 2 3/4, and now 5 1/2. And this is your card base. Okay, so in order to make this card, we are going to, and I'm going to flip it over. We're going to fold it at the 5 1/2. We're going to fold it in half, and I'm going to burnish it. And then you're going to fold at the 2 3/4 mark, the flap back, and you're going to burnish that. All right, now we're going to use, and I forgot to tell you this, we are going to use the Shining Brightly Designer Series paper. Now this is also in the mini catalog, and it went with, I believe it's the Holy Night bundle. I love this, and I've already cut mine. So just really pretty paper. You have some gold inlay in this, and this is cut at 2 1/2 by 4, and we're going to put it on each of these flaps. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my glue because it allows me to slide a little bit. And let's go ahead and adhere that to those two flaps. Probably hear the dogs. My husband just came in and they are excited to see him. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this here. And this leaves you about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And then we're going to put the second one right here. So let's go ahead and adhere that. Okay. Now the next is I want to, instead of basic white for our inside, I'm going to use a piece of Designer Series paper. Good morning, Mary. I am using from the One Horse Open Sleigh. And I want to leave a lot of this open, and you're going to see why. So we're going to cut this down. This needs to be cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to do something different with this piece than what we've done in the past. So let's cut this down here. I'm going to take it to here. And then I'm going to, this is at 4 1/4. I'm going to flip it around and take just a little bit off the bottom. Let's make sure we have this at 4. All right. And now I want to cut it at 5 1/4. I want this right here. I want to keep that snow pile. I also want the trees. So let's flip it around here. Kind of decide what it is that you want to do for your inside. And this is very different than what I've done before. We're going to actually heat emboss our greeting right on to this Designer Series paper. So I am using a greeting, and we're going to go ahead and do this before the owl. I'm using the greeting from the Winter Owl stamp set. I'm using May You Have Time to Enjoy the Quiet Moments of the Season. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat emboss that in gold. I want to keep with the gold from my paper. So I'm going to use my embossing buddy and just make sure that I don't have any static. And then I'm going to come in with my Versamark ink and just ink this up. Oh, Kathi, I think you'll like this set. I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp right here in the middle. And I'm going to bring in my gold embossing powder. And I'm going to use my little tray here because it helps me from having a mess. And let's go ahead and, okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead and heat emboss this. Now I'm going to turn on my heat tool, and it's going to be loud for a minute, but I want to let it heat up before I hit the paper with it. So very different. It does make a beautiful background and a beautiful sky, and I'm anxious for you to see it when it's all put together with the card. Okay, we're going to go ahead and heat this up. Now, if you're new to heat embossing, you're just going to follow this around until you see your embossing powder change to a shiny image. And that's good. You don't want to overheat your embossing powders because they will actually flatten out and dull. So let's go ahead and we're going to adhere this to the inside base of our card. I think you've heard me say I live right behind what we call our metro parks, and it's a nature preserve, and we have 3 different types of owls back there. And at night you can hear them. And owls are one of my favorite birds or animals, whatever you want to call it. If you want to give that a good press. So here's the inside of our card, and hopefully you can see that and see the gold. Isn't that pretty? All right. Our next part is I am using boho blue. It picked up the blue in the paper, and this is going to be my focal point. So this is going to be here, and I'm going to adhere another piece of that night sky to that, and we're going to adhere that to our boho blue. And again, measurements, the boho blue is 4 by 3 1/4, and the piece of designer series paper is 3 3/4 by 3. And this is going to adhere right here when we're ready to put it on. Now, for our focal point, I want a moon for my owl. And I'm supposed to have a piece of white here. Here it is. And I had a piece of paper. So we are going to be using the 2 3/8 inch punch. Now, if you don't have the punch and you have circle dies, use that. Use whatever you have. So what I want to do for my moon is I'm taking lemon lolly, and I'm going to take my brush, and we're going to create our moon. So I'm just going to go on and start on my paper, and I'm going to keep working around until I get a nice solid yellow image. Now, one of the things I want is to have a little bit darker around the edges and a little bit lighter in the center. So you're right, Kathi, it does make for a beautiful night sky. I just love that paper, and I seem to be using it for a lot because it's so versatile. It goes with so many of our stamp sets. Let's add just a little bit more, and I'm going to leave that center lighter. And let's see what it looks like within my punch. If I like the way, yeah, I kind of like that. I want to get this edge here just a little bit darker. So let's start up here and come down. And I think that's going to be good. I have to be honest with you, Kathi, I've not embossed on DSP before either. But when I was working on this card and making it, it was such a beautiful background. I didn't want to take away from it and put another piece of paper on it. So I tried embossing on it, and I really loved it. So here's our moon. And we're going to come on over here, and I'm going to adhere this right here in a second. Let's do our owl. We need him to finish this up. Now I'm going to show you the dies that I used for our owl. And I also want to grab a silicone mat. And I found this to be a key in doing this. Now, to get this detailed owl cut, I used this die, and this is just basic white cardstock. And then I cut each of the wings. I wanted extensions for the wings. You can use him just like this, and it's going to look beautiful. But I chose to do these extensions to the wings. I wanted to give them a little bit more boldness. So I cut one of each of these. So I'm going to show you how I adhered them to one another. And they fit right on like that. And so I'm going to take my fine tip glue, and I'm simply going to add some glue right around the edge of this wing. And then we're going to, if the glue comes out, here we go. So I'm just going to add that right to the edge. That's all you're going to need. And then I'm going to take my owl. Okay. Take my owl, and we're just going to set him right there. And I'm going to bring the wing up so it's like under his, what would be his armpit. Okay, there we go. So there's one, and let's do the second one. So with this one, we're going to do the same. Just going to add some glue. And we're going to go ahead and place this here. And here's our owl. Now, I wanted my owl to be looking at the moon, and it's a close fit, but he's going to come off. That wing is going to come off, but it's still going to be on the card, which is great. So let's go ahead, and we're going to adhere our moon, and I'm going to put this down flat because I'm going to pop part of the body, or the body portion of our owl up, but we're going to glue the wings down so it almost looks like he's in flight. So let's pop this here. Okay, now to do that, I'm using mini dimensionals. And we're just going to take a mini dimensional here, and I'm going to put one here, and you cannot see these. And I'm going to put one here and one by each wing. And just kind of play with it. I'm also going to put one up in here on each side. Let's do that. And that should be good. So now we're just going to take these off. And before we pop him on, I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to bring in my mat again. And I'm simply going to add some along the tips of his wings. And you're going to see why in just a second. And you don't need a lot. That's why I would recommend a fine tip glue pen for this. And I'm just going to go around the edges of his tail and his wings. And you can see I'm just adding a few dots here. All right. That looks pretty good. And we're ready to put him down. I'm going to add one more dimensional. Becky, thanks for joining us. I love this set. It's my favorite. So, okay. Now, let's pop him on here. So you can see these wings bend and they're movable, but I want him to be looking like he's just in flight over the moon, or where the moon is coming through. So he's here, and I'm You can see, you can leave his tail up. I'm going to glue it down because I don't want it to get caught. And I had put some glue on that when we're putting it in. Now you can see right here, this wing is up a little bit. So I'm just going to take a dot of glue and get that pressed down. And here's our owl. So we're going to put him in here so that I have a nice even edge of my designer series paper. Now, when you're gluing this down, be careful that you only get glue because you only want it to stick to this flap. So I'm kind of using my star here, the edge of my star, and I'm going to go over to the left. And I'm going to give myself a little wiggle room to not put too much on. All right, so now we're ready to adhere him. And I want to make sure I get a nice edge. Okay, so far so good. Thank you, Mary. You have a good weekend. Now to finish up for our greeting, I took a piece of Night of Navy and I wanted to put warm wishes. So we're going to heat emboss that also. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and just, all right. And hope, I doubt you can see that, but I have so much embossing powder left in here. I'm just going to kind of dip it and tap it. And that looks good. So let's heat emboss that. And this is going to be loud for a second. Thank you, Becky. I'm so glad you like it. So again, just going to heat. I'm going to turn this off for a minute because it kind of blew away. And I want to make sure that we still have a good image. All right, let's try that again. And I'm sorry for the noise. Remember that you only want to heat until you see it change. Now you can see when it blew over, it kind of smudged the ink. So I'm just going to flip it around and I'm going to restamp it and reheat it. And no one is ever going to see that because it's on the back. So, all right, let's try that again. And this time I am going to use my little tweezers. Okay. Now I forgot to use my embossing buddy here, but I think we're going to be okay. Because I'm going to use my brush just to wipe away the little bit of excess that I see. And then let's reheat this. All right, so I thought this would be pretty across our moon. And that I would trim it down. So I'm just going to take my snips and kind of snip the ends off on a slant. And we're able to kind of tuck it in there. And I'm going to pop it up with dimensionals. So let's just grab a couple here. And this was the side that it got smeared when it blew away. All right. So let's pop this in, and I want it to go under his wing. Okay, so here's our card. Look how pretty. And then when you open it up, you not only have the sky, but it kind of reminded me of a field where you might see it flying over. So let me bring you back to me. I hope you enjoyed today's fun fold. I certainly enjoyed doing it for you. I love this stamp set. I think there's so much more. Then I know I'm going to be using it to show you some other things. But I wanted to do Fun Fold Friday today. I hope you have a great weekend. Find some time for yourself. Enjoy crafting, read a good book, have fun with family and friends. And I will see you again on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody.